Among all the ancient texts that have survived to this day, there is one that continues to provoke controversy, amazement, and countless questions. This is a book that tells of fallen angels, forbidden knowledge, giants, celestial journeys, and events that, according to some researchers, form the basis of many later religious ideas. For centuries, this text was revered by some, rejected by others, and almost lost to the Western world. But when, in the 20th century, archaeologists discovered ancient manuscripts near the Dead Sea, it became clear that the story was much more complicated than many had assumed. What exactly is the Book of Enoch? Why was it so important to ancient communities? And what secrets does a text that some consider one of the most influential outside the biblical canon hold? Let's follow the facts and enter one of the most mysterious books of the ancient world. The Book of Enoch is perhaps the most influential religious text ever excluded from the Western biblical canon. It is a grandiose work of 108 chapters in which fallen angels are named and cosmic journeys through crystal skies are described. The origin of demons is explained, and a messianic figure, the Son of Man, is introduced decades before the birth of Jesus. Contrary to popular myth, no church council has voted to ban it. Instead, the book was gradually pushed to the periphery over the course of nearly 3 centuries because its content proved incompatible with the theology that the church fathers were building. However, it never completely disappeared. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has preserved it as a sacred canonical text for more than 1,600 years. The Dead Sea Scrolls prove that it is older than much of the Bible itself, and the New Testament quotes it directly in the Epistle of Jude. In the book of Genesis chapter 6, there are 4 mysterious verses that tell how the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives from them. Just 4 sentences, and nothing more. However, the book of Enoch turns those few lines into nearly 30 chapters, filled with detail. The story begins like this. 200 angelic beings, known as the Watchers, descend to the top of Mount Hermon in the time of Jared, the grandfather of Enoch. Their leader is called Semyaza. He organizes everyone into groups of 10, each led by a separate chief. A total of 20 named leaders. Their names contain the divine element El, which means God. Kokabiel means star of God. Barakiel means lightning of God. Shamziel means son of God. These are not lesser demons. On the contrary, they are beings directly connected to the most fundamental forces of creation. That is why their rebellion is presented as so destructive. After they descend to earth, each of the Watchers teaches people certain knowledge. Azazel teaches them to make swords, knives, shields, and armor. He also teaches them to work with precious stones and make cosmetics. Semyaza teaches them magic and herbalism. Barakiel reveals the secrets of astrology. And Penemu teaches people to write with ink on written materials. In other words, even literacy is presented as forbidden knowledge. Think about what that means. According to the text, all of human civilization, weapons, cosmetics, astronomy, writing, and medicine, are not the fruit of human ingenuity. They come from an unlawful angelic revelation. The judgment is clearly recorded in 1 Enoch chapter 10, verse 8. The whole earth has been corrupted by the deeds that Azazel has taught people. Attribute every sin to him. But the story doesn't end there. The Watchers took human women as wives. From these unions were born the Nephilim, giants of enormous size. The description of what happened next is among the darkest parts of the text. First, the giants ate all the food that humans produced. When humanity could no longer feed them, they turned against humans themselves. Then they began to attack each other. The text says that the earth itself accused the lawlessness. In 1 Enoch chapter 15, verses 8 and 9, we find one of the most important theological details in the entire book. When the Nephilim died, their spirits did not disappear. They became the evil spirits and demons that continue to roam the earth. It is here that the text provides an explanation for the origin of unclean spirits, a concept that underlies later demonology, but which the canonical Bible nowhere explains in detail. But let's turn our attention to another interesting question. What does the word Elohim actually mean? and why does it continue to cause so much controversy among theologians? The Hebrew word Elohim occurs more than 2,500 times in the Hebrew Bible. At first glance, it seems confusing because it is in the plural. However, when referring to the God of Israel, it accepts singular verbs. Early in Genesis, we read, "In the beginning, Elohim created." This tension between plural form and singular action has caused theologians to debate the meaning of the word for centuries. The key phrase for the Book of Enoch, however, is different: Bene Elohim, literally, the sons of God. It is these Bene Elohim who are the beings of Genesis chapter 6 who take human wives. But who are they? Three main interpretations compete for supremacy. Augustine and his followers claim that it is about the descendants of Seth who married women from the lineage of Cain. This explanation, however, has serious difficulties. The same phrase also occurs in the book of Job, where it clearly describes heavenly beings who appear before the throne of God, along with Satan. And in another chapter of Job, the sons of God rejoice at the creation of the world, that is, even before the appearance of man. Therefore, the angelic interpretation is considerably older and much more widely supported in antiquity. Almost every pre-Christian source we have, including the Book of Enoch itself, the Book of Jubilees, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, views the sons of God as supernatural beings. But perhaps the most interesting piece of evidence comes from another place, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8. In the standard Masoretic text, the verse reads, "according to the number of the sons of Israel." The Dead Sea Scrolls version, however, contains a different reading, "according to the number of the sons of God," and the Septuagint uses the expression, "angels of God." Textual scholars, for the most part, believe that the Qumran version is the more ancient. Because it's hard to imagine a copyist willingly replacing a safer text with a more controversial one. If that's the case, the conclusion is impressive. When God divided the nations after the Tower of Babel, each nation was placed under the rule of a specific heavenly being, while Israel remained under the direct rule of God. Psalm 82 describes precisely the condemnation of these beings for unjust rule. Until 1947, skeptics often argued that the Book of Enoch might be a late fabrication. But the discoveries near Qumran change everything. In Cave 4, 11 Aramaic manuscripts of the book were found. The oldest known fragment is dated to approximately between 200 and 150 years BC. This means that the text itself must have been created even earlier. The sheer number of manuscripts discovered shows how significant the book was to the Qumran community. By comparison, 36 copies of Psalms, 30 of Deuteronomy, and 21 of Isaiah were found there, but only one copy each of Chronicles, Ezra, and Nehemiah. The 11 copies of Enoch, along with 9 copies of the related Book of Giants, show how highly this text was valued. Moreover, the community based its 364-day solar calendar directly on the astronomical teachings described in the Book of Enoch. The full text of 108 chapters has survived only in Ethiopia, where the Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserves it to this day as part of its biblical canon. The most extensive in traditional Christianity, containing 81 books. For comparison, the Protestant canon contains 66 books, and the Catholic canon contains 73. For Western Europe, the text remained lost for 4 centuries until the Scottish traveler James Bruce acquired 3 manuscripts from Ethiopia between 1768 and 1773. The first translation in English was published only in 1821. The Book of Enoch was not simply obscure or forgotten, it was actively dangerous to the emerging Christian orthodoxy on several fronts at once. First of all, it proposed a radically different origin of evil. Augustine's doctrine placed the source of sin in Adam's free will and his disobedience. The Book of Enoch, however, says something entirely different. The corruption comes from supernatural agents external to humanity, specifically from Azazel. This directly undermines the doctrine of original sin. Secondly, the Son of Man of the parables of Enoch, in chapters 37 to 71, is a pre-Christian messianic figure who is pre-eternal, sits on a throne of glory, and judges humanity. And in 1 Enoch, chapter 71, verse 14, Enoch himself is identified as the Son of Man. This directly competes with Christianity's claim that only Jesus fulfills that role. Third, the book's detailed angelology, with dozens of angels, each with a specific name, rank, and function, provided ready material for magical practices and angelic worship that competed with the centrality of Christ. Fourth, the idea that all of human civilization was the fruit of demonic guidance created a worldview in which technology and knowledge itself were intrinsically tainted. This was an extremely uncomfortable position for a church that was trying to navigate the culture of the Hellenistic Roman world. And fifth, detailed descriptions of space travel and visionary experiences suggested that ordinary people could access divine secrets on their own, without the mediation of the institutional church. And this is perhaps the biggest threat of all. The visionary passages of the Book of Enoch are unique in ancient religious literature. They are unlike almost anything else. In chapter 14, Enoch approaches a structure whose walls appear to be a mosaic floor of crystals, and the ceiling is like a path of stars and lightning. Flaming portals burn everywhere, and Enoch himself experiences the paradoxical sensation of being simultaneously hot as in fire and cold as in ice. He enters a larger house, built entirely of flames, and there he meets God sitting on a throne with wheels like a shining sun, and streams of blazing fire flowing from below. None of the angels could enter and behold his face, the text says, and 10,000 stood before him. These descriptions have attracted the attention of scientists working in a completely different field, the field of psychedelic research. Rick Strassman is the first scientist to receive approval from the US government to conduct research on humans with DEMT. DEMT is an extremely powerful natural hallucinogen. Between 1990 and 1995, he administered about 400 doses to about 60 volunteers at the University of New Mexico. The results are astounding. More than half of the participants report encounters with intelligent non-human beings in vast crystalline environments. In his book, DEMT and the Soul of Prophecy from 2014, Strassman directly compares ancient Jewish prophetic visions with the experiences induced by DEMT. According to him, the Book of Enoch is completely psychedelic, and its phenomenology is strikingly similar. The parallels are indeed hard to ignore. The crystal palaces of Enoch correspond to the crystalline environments reported by people under the influence of the hallucinogen. The paradoxical sensations of simultaneous fire and ice reflect the synesthetic confusion typical of psychedelic states. The spinning wheels like a shining sun resemble the mandala structures described by Terence McKenna, who claimed to have encountered self-transforming machine elves. Creatures that communicate through visual language and seem to sing structures to create them. A large-scale study by Johns Hopkins University included 2,561 users of DEMT. It found that 78% of them had encountered benevolent beings, and 70% described them as sacred. The parallels between the Watchers' story and contemporary reports of unidentified anomalous phenomena are also noteworthy. Jacques Vallée, a French-American computer scientist, participated in the construction of ARPANET and developed the first map of Mars for NASA. He rejected the extraterrestrial hypothesis of UFOs back in 1969. In his book, Passport to Magonia, he proposes that there is no fundamental difference between the angels and demons of religious tradition, the fairies and elves of Celtic folklore, and modern unidentified beings. According to him, they are all manifestations of a persistent non-human intelligence that adapts its appearance to the cultural expectations of each era. The Book of Enoch occupies a truly unique place in religious history. It is too influential to be ignored, but also too dangerous to be canonized. Quoted by the Apostle Jude, defended by the early church father Tertullian, preserved by Ethiopian Christianity for 16 centuries, and confirmed by the Dead Sea Scrolls as older than much of the canonical Bible. It remains the inconvenient text that official Christianity prefers to keep silent about. What makes the Book of Enoch so enduringly compelling is its refusal to simplify. She paints a universe filled with supernatural beings, forbidden knowledge, hybrid creatures, and cosmic architecture. A vision that is far more complex and more disturbing than the ordered theology we are used to. Whether you read the Watchers as fallen angels, ancient astronauts, interdimensional beings, or simply as mythological archetypes, the text raises questions that canonical scripture has consciously chosen not to answer. The Book of Enoch remains one of the most mysterious and influential texts outside the Western biblical canon. It does not provide easy answers. On the contrary, it opens a door to a world of fallen angels, forbidden knowledge, ancient visions, and questions that continue to provoke theologians, historians, and researchers to this day. Perhaps that is precisely why this text has survived, because the more it was pushed to the periphery, the more it attracted the attention of those who seek the hidden layers of ancient history. If you found this video interesting, share it with friends who love ancient mysteries, forgotten texts, and hidden truths. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and write in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching until the end.